Welcome back to Squawk Box. Joining us now, former Biden Treasury official Natasha Sarin. She's a professor at Yale School and president and co-founder of the Budget Lab, and former economic advisor Stephen Moore. He's now with Unleash Prosperity. Stephen, you still have ears with people that are in charge doing all these things. What is your best guess as to what's happening behind the scenes right now? Do you expect what Chuck Schumer has wanted all along, some type of backroom deal with Thune and President Trump mediating that somehow gives Democrats a guarantee on extending these subsidies? Is that what finally happens? Or does Trump hold firm and say, you just got to open the government before we do anything?
Well, I hope the latter. Look, this is a fight about some important issues. We're running a $2 trillion annual deficit. We've got a debt. When I first came to Washington 40 years ago, the debt was $1 trillion. Now we're at $38 trillion. Everybody knows that this can't continue. And the Republicans have these tiny little cuts in the budget, $1.5 trillion out of $80 trillion over the next 10 years. And Democrats don't even want to do that. So I think it's really important that Trump stick to his guns here and say, look, these are important cuts in programs. Most of it is trying to just get rid of fraud in these programs. You don't have to believe me, by the way. You look at the government's own auditors that Medicare and Medicaid have over $200 billion of fraud per year. That is people who are not eligible for the programs getting it. So this is important if we want fiscal discipline in Washington.
Natasha, I know that most Democrats just feel that it's an inalienable right for people to have health care. So someone's going to pay for it one way or another. Others point out the Affordable Care Act has been anything but affordable, really been unaffordable, and maybe has exacerbated health care inflation. But one way or another, if the government's going to, is that your argument? The government's going to end up paying, whether it's eventually single payer, which some people think that's where Democrats want it to go anyway. But is that basically what they're saying? You know, people deserve this. You got to pay for it.
You know, I actually agree with Stephen about the importance of taking seriously fiscal discipline. And we're in a situation where we're running a 6% deficit to GDP by the end of the decade as a result of, in part, the tax package that was passed this summer. We're going to be closer to 8 or 9%. And so these are really, really important issues. But what I can tell you as an economist is we know that the Affordable Care Act and access to affordable insurance has been hugely important and impactful for the people who have access to that insurance. Work that academics like Bruce Meyer have done has shown that the cuts that were legislated this summer, which Stephen thinks are small cuts, are going to lead to something like 100,000 excess premature deaths over the course of a decade. So these things are big deals and they have huge, significant consequences, which is why I suspect they're tied up in the types of political battles we're seeing at the moment.
Yeah. Predicting deaths, I don't know. Bill Gates we'd all be supposedly frying in the heat right now, and there would have been millions of deaths already, and now he totally backed. That was a total exaggeration and pipe dream. I mean, that's what we can't use that, Natasha.
But we can use we have some estimates about exactly what's happened over the course of the last few years as people have gotten access to insurance. And we know that we've prevented a lot of deaths. So it's not crazy to suspect that as you take away that insurance, you're going to have more.
It would be nice to cover everyone. But we also, there are obviously, Stephen, flaws in the way Obamacare is administered that Republicans probably need to come together with Democrats to fix it because it's not going away at this point. Is that what we should be doing right now, before the government reopens or after?
Well, you made an important point that, you know, I remember debating this bill in 2010, I believe it was. It's been 15 years since we passed the, quote, Affordable Care Act. And since that time, the cost of health care has almost tripled. It is a huge, huge detriment to our economy that we keep pushing so much money into health care. We could have better health care in this country for almost half the cost. And so I think the people who support Obamacare expansion have to explain to America why they defrauded the American people and said that this would save money. You saw probably just the other day in the Wall Street Journal that the average family is now paying $35,000 to $40,000 a year for health care. I mean, but Joe, nobody can afford that.
Should we just acknowledge that? I mean, we don't want, and Republicans look at the midterms coming up, you don't want premiums doubling or tripling.
Doubling.
We know healthcare is expensive. I mean, Natasha, what do you want? Single payer? Is it would that? Is there any way that would help? Is that the holy grail for the left?
I definitely don't. I definitely don't think that that's the holy grail. And in part, I think what you and Stephen are discussing is like a bit of the challenge. Like, we all agree that healthcare is too expensive. We all agree that surely there are sensible reforms to make. But actually getting from where we are to what those sensible reforms should be is just a harder task than one might hope. And so I agree with you, Joe. Like, do you really want at the end of this year to be looking at American families and telling them you need to pay twice as much as you're paying, which is already a lot, for health insurance? I think that's just a pretty difficult thing to be telling people, especially at a moment when they're seeing thousands of dollars of price increases as a result of tariffs that this administration is pursuing as well.
Let me respond to that, because the real problem in America today is not too little health insurance, but way, way too much health insurance, Joe. I mean, if you look at the situation today, people have basically first dollar coverage. Nobody is paying any attention to what anything costs. By the way, the people who are in on this scam, the people who have made the most money on Obamacare, have been the big health insurance companies. I mean, it's robbery. If we have this expansion of Obamacare that the Democrats want, 80% of that money is going to go right into the hands of the big insurance companies. I mean, I don't want to sound like Bernie Sanders here, but I guess I am. I mean, why do we keep funneling?
It's not an expansion of Obamacare, though. It's what people are already experiencing with respect to these premiums.
Except it was supposed to be an emergency. It was post-COVID to get us through COVID. COVID ended 5 years ago.
Again, I think you're good. I think it's a hard thing. Just as an economist, these are families who have budgeted for the fact that these premiums are what they are today. To go and tell them that they're going to pay twice as much as they are for health insurance coverage, many of them won't get that health insurance coverage and will have adverse health consequences. And I just think that that's a hard thing
Natasha,
to be doing.
The reason people are paying so much for the premiums is because Obamacare was a huge failure. It was a fraud. I mean, at least the Democrats
Stephen,
should
you
admit
and
that.
I would be so keen to spend some time with you. By the way, this is just one of many problems that are on the horizon as our demographics shift, right? We have the Social Security trust funds that are set to expire, the Medicare trust funds that are set to expire all over the course of the next decade. So I would be so keen to spend time with you to hash out exactly how to solve these efforts, but it's a harder task than you're laying out.